Jazz's Story, presented by Merge. Please be aware that within the following story, there are mentions of suicide, suicidal thoughts, depression, and anxiety. Take care of your own body-mind with that in consideration. The thoughts and ideas discussed in this story may not align with those of the Human Development Institute, Merge, or the University of Kentucky.
My name is Jazz Brown. My pronouns are they, them. I consider myself to be from Kentucky, from Louisville, but I was born in Arizona. I once met Morgan Freeman without any shoes on in a hotel lobby. So that was fun. He was in a full suit because he was going to a gala that was on the basement. God bless. I was 14 and did not think that I needed more than socks on in the hotel lobby. That was crazy of me. I am a proud two-time college dropout, so I'm not in school. I am a part of the HDI's UK LEND program, their leadership, education, and neurodevelopmental disabilities and stuff. Very lovely. HDI gives me a monthly stipend to essentially continue to do advocacy work. So I do a lot of disability and trans advocacy work here in the state. I am kind of like a person that a lot of people come to talk, to ask questions, help them get to like where they need to go. But I also do a lot of education. I do presentations. One of my last big ones was at the Symposium for Disability that was at UK back in September. I did a presentation on neuroqueer theory, the idea of applying queer theory to neurodivergent populations. Essentially just hacking your lifestyle to make it more sense for you and what's comfortable for you instead of what society might deem as most normal or most appropriate. I also work with a lot of trans communities. I actually just organized a free trans wellness retreat that was kind of like a post-election thing to just give trans people in the state of Kentucky a day where we can just like rest and hang out and eat good food. We had a film screening from a Chicago film that was on the experience of being a trans couple and giving birth. It was such a fun time. So that's kind of where like my focus is. My next project that I'm working on right now is I'm working on a textbook chapter for disability and game mechanics. Essentially, like how do we apply disability studies and a disability justice kind of framework from humanities into game mechanics? So my book chapter is on mental health conditions and intellectual and developmental disabilities and how they appear mechanically in TTRPGs. If you're playing a Call of Cthulhu, what does it mean to go insane? And are the game mechanics themselves kind of ableist or are they affirming? And like, what does that really mean to role play mental illness? Or what does it mean to have low charisma and low intelligence? And how does that show up in games? So I follow where my special interest lies. Like I'm an autistic person. I love video games. I love role playing. I love vampires. I love film. I love critiquing stuff. And being able to combine that with advocacy work is just kind of where my focus has been. I find that, we don't talk about neurotype enough, and then autism is really another neurotype. It comes with things that are debilitating. I can tell you I could not be in the same room with my husband earlier because he ate eggs and I could not stand the smell. That sucks. But like a lot of it is just we view and perceive things so differently. And I have been so blessed and so lucky these last couple months, especially through UK's and the HDI like partnership, to be able to be funded to do this, because a lot of the things that I'm doing, they do not come with paychecks. They're things that I would be doing on the back burner. Because of that funding, I get to do it full time, full focus, and I've been able to accomplish so much more. And it's been really cool. The standard advice that I've always gotten ever since I was a child is, to do something that you love. And if you can make money from it, great. But more importantly, do the things that you love. And I felt so lucky that I've been able to do all this stuff. And, a lot of this stuff isn't really paid for. Like, they don't really pay you for book chapters in academia, but, I'm going to be published and somebody might cite me and they might read what I have to say and it might inform them to make really cool stuff with that. That alone is super exciting for me. So teachers are actually trying to diagnose me with autism back when I was very little. But because I did not present in the stereotypical white cis male way of autism, I was quote unquote well behaved and I would speak when spoken to, but I was very nonverbal as a child. They tried to, but my mom did not, at the time it was the early 2000s. If I had gotten that diagnosis, they would have pulled me out of regular classes. My mom did not want that for me. Like, inclusion was very important for her. So she just completely disregarded the diagnosis and we went on living. Well, I learned how to mask. I learned that I always felt alien. I always felt different. And it wasn't until I experienced a very heavy period of burnout that I got my diagnosis. And in part, I am one of those people, one of the many people who decided to seek out medical treatment and diagnosis because they were learning more about autism through TikTok. I am one of those people. And I know a lot of medical professionals, they get a little antsy when you talk about that. But honestly, TikTok was a thing for me where for the first time in my life, I was able to see other people talk about phenomena that I had always experienced. But when I would talk about it to the holistic people around me, they have no idea what I'm talking about. They think that I'm overly sensitive. They think that I'm a little kind of crazy or some little ableist terms and that kind of stuff. And then seeing and identifying with that, and then reading Unmasking Autism by Devin Price and going to the doctor and talking to my therapist and my psychologist and be like, let's just explore what a diagnosis is. Those two combined, when I found out, something shifted in my mind. And I went through a period of grief for about 6 months at the life that I could have had I known the diagnosis, and also the life that I no longer can have post burnout. I'm a very, very different, my body's different. I've also developed an autoimmune disorder that I got diagnosed with 2 years ago. I have multiple disabilities, and I had to, during those 6 months, I really had to reconcile with a lot of internalized ableism. I do not believe that 99% of people know what it's like to be autistic. I don't think they know what it's like. I don't think that they can fully comprehend, especially because all of us are so different, what it is like to be autistic. And a lot of the time, the only thing that gets shown are, the two things. You either get the Big Bang Theory, like either you have to be a genius or you are the neckbeard kid that everybody does the, well, actually voice and makes fun of you. Because truly, anybody who's doing that impression is making fun of an autistic person. It is an impression of an autistic person. So the only things that I've ever really seen are these two representations of like, oh, so everybody hates me. That's how I felt when I got the diagnosis, is everybody hates me. And I think I might also hate myself. And it took a lot of reading from like that book, The Unmasking Autism by Devin Price. It took a lot of reading from disability scholars, following certain accounts on TikTok, like Crutches and Spice. Like I got to see Amani at the AUCD conference and she was phenomenal. But like actually being in the community, learning the history, and then doing Kentucky Partners in Policymaking program. I did that the year before I did Blend, and then I got to interact with other autistic people. And then I got to meet autistic people. And then I started to unlearn that stuff. And it just truly, I've never experienced as much joy having gone through that process and having I don't think you can truly fully unlearn any kind of ism. I think that when you grow up in a society that teaches those things, they are ingrained in you in ways that are so subtle and innocuous sometimes that you can't always tell them. But I am so much happier now, having gone through that experience and connected with people, that like I am very proud to be autistic. I think that a lot of the things that about being autistic are so wonderful that I actually kind of feel sad that holistic people cannot enjoy. I do not believe holistic people can enjoy what I like to call sensory euphoria as much as autistic people can. Yes, there's the bad side. If I wear a binder or something like that, and I get like sweat underneath it, I want to rip my skin off. Sensory is terrible. But also hearing a song that I love 100 times in a row at full volume gives me a certain kind of pleasure that I don't know if holistic people can. I don't know if holistic people experience that. And so there's like cool differences. It's taken a while, but in the last 2-3 years since I've been diagnosed, it's been a really fun journey to relearn myself and also relearn my community around me and develop deeper empathy for others, because clearly there's a lot that we don't know about each other. And if we actually took the time to get to know each other, there would be a lot more dialogue and like collective liberation.
To learn more about Merge, please visit us at hdi.uky.edu forward slash MERGE.